How we doing, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great weekend. And here we are to talk about Evil Dead Rise. So let's start with the fact that I am not a big Evil Dead fan. I do like Bruce Campbell. I did like the TV show that they put out recently, and I see the one, the recent one, and I have seen some lower budget stuff that he and Raimi did. But I can't say I'm a huge fan. I do like horror. So when I saw this film, of course, I had to go see it, and I knew it was going to be a little campy and things to that effect. But I was pleasantly surprised that it really wasn't campy, and it kind of took itself a little bit more seriously than I think the other films did. Of course, we have the Necronomicon show up and some chanting, and and we have, of course, the whole Evil Dead thing starting. And it was very interesting on the script side because everything else takes place in a cabin, so they're stuck there, they can't leave, and now we're in a high rise in a city where we have cell phones and we can just run out and interact with other people. But just to show how ingenuitive these people are, it was written by Lee Cronin, who I had no idea who he is, mostly because he's European and all of his credits come from Europe. So you wouldn't have seen anything that he's done. This is like pretty much the first thing that he's done in the States. So, and Raimi and Campbell were executive producers on it, but that's about the extent of where their whole credits lie in this film. But they needed to keep it low budget. I think that the entire floor was one big set. I think that was all one big set. I don't think that any of it was real. And I'm not going to do any spoilers, but I'm going to give away a little, probably where it takes place, but that's about the extent of it. So I was wondering, they could just run downstairs, but they were very smart. And what they did was they made the elevator break, they made the stairs break, and now we were stuck on one floor. It's very, very smart. The entire budget was $17 million, which is amazing. I think that they probably spent, I would say, about $50 million in advertising. So with that being said, just round it off to 20, so we're at 70 million. So it has to make 140 million or 150 million to break even, and I really don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that this has some big legs, and I think the horror genre just to show you, this is the only genre that you can have it internationally and have a wide release with no name actors. There's actually zero recognizable actors in the entire film. So Alyssa Sutherland, so she plays Ellie. She's basically the main character. And you can tell that she is she's all in it. She's all in. She probably saw herself in that makeup and she said, I'm all in. I'm going to make this my own. And she really does. She injects so much personality into the villain of this thing. It's crazy. So I was looking at her, and I mean, even from the poster and from the trailer, I was like, I know that face. Where do I know her from? And I just could not put my finger on it. I never looked on IMDb, so I never really inquired in it outside of my own brain. But I think I'm sitting there in the theater going, I know that face. Where do I know her from? And then I realized as I was watching the film that she's from Vikings. So she plays Queen Anslog in Vikings. The main character in Vikings is married to Catherine Winnick's character. And then he's out and about and he has an affair with another woman and he brings her back to the thing. And basically, as far as I'm concerned, trains down, even though she's very, very pretty. You can't compare that to Catherine Winnick. Sorry. But I didn't realize she was like 41 years old. I was like, she looks a lot younger. It's like, this woman has, 3 older kids. I didn't realize she was 41. But she is. So it all works. The kids did a great job. Lily Sullivan, all these people really don't have any big credits. You wouldn't recognize them from anything. So in fact, the little girl who plays Cassie, Nell Fisher, this is like her second credit. She's done nothing. So, but again, this is a movie. This is the type of genre. Horror is the only type of genre where you could go in and do absolutely no names, and do it on the name of just the IP. So, like, I knew the guys that did Blair Witch, and they sold that, for $1 million. They had no idea it was going to make 100, where they had no back end on it or anything. And of course, they had nothing to do with Blair Witch 2. It was not nearly as good a movie as the first one. Oh, they had nothing to do with it because they sold the rights and they had nothing to do with it. But that was another movie where people went to see it purely based on the name. And the same thing here. So the effects, I think the effects are mostly practical. In fact, take a look at this. I'm going to put a screenshot up from the film, and look at that composition with Ellie's character in the front. You could see that her eyes kind of twitched up top, and everybody else is in the background, and everything's really in focus, but everything's hyper-focused in the front. Really a great shot, and it's those kind of things that make this film. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background, and there's a ton of blood. I mean, a ton of blood in this film. So if you don't like blood, this is not a movie for you. That's for sure. But, there's a ton of blood. And in fact, it starts off in a cabin. And then it goes one day earlier. And I was really confused by this whole thing. I'm like, how are they going to connect that cabin to the apartment complex? I have no idea how they were going to do that. And especially in one day. And it was interesting how they connected it. Again, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but that's basically the structure, is that it starts out with the cabin, and then it starts with a whole new group of people, and then it ends, bookmarks the two ends of it. Bookends. There you go. Bookends the two parts of the film. So yeah, so that's. The final battle is good. So this is the comparison between this one and the Pope's Exorcist, is that this one sticks the landing. I was very happy with how this one ended. I didn't have any complaints about the final battle, etc. Where in the Pope's Exorcist I did. It didn't feel satisfying, and this one did. So yeah, now is the question is it worth seeing? Should I go see this film? And do I need to see the other films? No, you really don't. You don't need to see any other films. I've seen pretty much everything. The only thing that connects them is the Necronomicon, which is the Book of the Dead. And that's the only thing that connects everything. So, but again, just to see some of the performances, again, Alyssa Sutherland just blew it out of the park. I could tell she was a fan of this whole thing, and she really took it and made it hers. Gabrielle Eccles played Bridget. In fact, they made her very butch looking, and she doesn't look like that in any of the pictures I saw. And Morgan Davies, they made him. See, they made some of the characters androgynous, because Bridget looked very butchy, but the son looked very effeminate. So it was weird how they did that and why they did that. I have no idea why that choice was, where they kind of switched the roles, where the brother looked female and the sister looked male. I don't understand the reasoning behind that, but that's what they did. And but is it worth seeing? Yeah, I enjoyed myself every year. Everybody's like, ugh. It's one of those films where you're like, oh my god, there was a bunch of females around me that were doing the eye, peeking through the eye thing. But yeah, so it's gory and it's bloody and it's just fun. It's a fun little horror movie. Kind of like how I kind of equated to Scream. It was a fun little horror movie. One's a slasher, one's a supernatural. But they kind of fall along that same line. I was happy with both of them. Although I found this one with Scream, it took it a little bit more over the top. This one kind of, since it was supernatural, you can get away with a little bit more, I think, than a slasher film. And the human actors, the survivors, victims, what do you want to call them, they didn't go over the top with the things that they were doing. When somebody was getting slammed and bashed and everything like that, they didn't just get up and walk away, kind of thing. So, yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and it's worth seeing. So yeah, definitely take a look, and let me know what you guys think. Now back to some of my own stuff. The pre-launch for Destiny Aurora is up. I'm going to put the link in the description below. And it's I think we have over 150 people following it right now. I really want to get to 300 before I launch, but we're going to launch, I think, the first week of May. So we're down to 10 days or so before we're ready to launch. So we're going to be able to buy the graphic novel. Or also Lords of LA is going to be on there to purchase, and also Tales of Ravenor, which you can see back here. I got my test copies in. Wasn't happy with some of the other things, so I'm actually switching printers. But I did get my first review in. I'm going to put that up on the screen real quick. We had one of my donors, supporters from Kickstarter, did get a chance to read because all of the digital stuff is fulfilled, and she thoroughly enjoyed it, which is what I was hoping. I was hoping this was going to do well with the fantasy readership, and kept my fingers crossed that I kind of, since this was my first YA or fantasy, that I was going to jump in that genre, and nobody was going to say, you don't know what the hell you're doing. So at least I have one. Let's see what the other reviews turn out to be, but so far so good, kind of thing. So I'm excited to see what everybody else thinks as well. I'm still working on that one, but I'm trying to get 1,000,001 things done in the meantime. But yeah, switching printers definitely did not help. And as far as time, I was hoping to get this stuff fulfilled, but I really want everybody to be happy with it. I'm actually going to Ingram Sparks right now. I have somebody building that out for me so I can order my printing through them. All right, and Lords of LA, the inks for 18 and 19 came in. So I think I'm going to get the stuff lettered in the meantime. But I can't launch that one until after this one's over. But I think right after this one's over, I'm going to launch. But that's it for me. So go ahead and please sign up for the Destiny Aurora audiobook / graphic novel, etc. And the link below. And I can use all the support I could get for that. I'd like to get other of the audiobooks done for the other novels. And that's it for me. Make sure you share and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd like to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so maybe you guys can help me with that. All right, have a great weekend, guys. And for the film, I would give this one like a 7 or 7.5. I kind of agree with everybody else out there that's reviewing it. Not great, but enjoyable while you're there, and memorable. Alyssa Sutherland did a great job. And you can never forget any kind of chainsaws with Evil Dead. All right, have a good one, guys. Talk to you soon.